Hi, today we're going to talk about self-care and well-being, and I have Vanessa Everetson with me. She's a life-changing coach and business coach as well, and we're just going to have a discussion around it. Hi, Vami. How are you?
Hiya. Good, you?
Good, thank you. Could
Good.
you tell me, is there a difference between self-care and well-being?
So yeah, there is a difference. Obviously, self-care is self-explanatory. It looks at your physical sort of care that you give yourself, the intellectual care that you give yourself, the social care that you give yourself, the spiritual care that you give yourself, and the emotional care that you give yourself. And we can talk a little bit more about that later. And in regards to well-being, well-being is looking at overall well-being. So it's the different aspects that impact our lives. For example, our health, that could be mindset health or actual physical health and ailments. It could be relationships, positive, negative relationships, be it with family or be it with friends. There's an aspect of well-being in the community and how we contribute to community. And obviously now with COVID and the impact that COVID and lockdown has had, impacts our well-being, and it impacts our well-being in the sense of our community is sort of lost, and we can discuss more about the different aspects later. There's another aspect of well-being, another pillar of well-being called environmental, and that looks at where we are in our environment, both presently in our room, however it could be in our house, in the area that we live in. Another pillar of well-being is purpose and finding out about purpose. And with my life coaching at My Solution Wellbeing, I do a lot of finding out. People come to me and they're a little bit lost and they've lost their purpose. So I do a lot about that aspect of things as well. And lastly, security. And I think security plays a massive aspect of what well-being is for us at the moment, with jobs and financial constraints and all of that. So there is a difference, but they are interlinked as well.
Mm-hmm. And I wondered, is there a starting point to self-care well-being, like to go from A to Z, or how does it work?
So I think the first point of call when we self-care is massively important. I cannot stress this enough. It's all about, I know people talk about the airy-fairy of self-love, but ultimately that's what it is. We have to love ourselves and like ourselves when we look at ourselves in the mirror. And a lot of it is working on our self-esteem and working on our confidence. And one of the ways in which we can work on our self-esteem is by going out of our comfort zone. But prior to that, looking at self-care is a way of starting would be just to make a list of all the things that make you happy, all the things that nurture you and all that feel-good stuff that sometimes we kind of miss because we're distracted with our thought process or what's going on, or that we're not happy in something. So firstly, I would suggest as a starting point, make a list of what makes you happy. So it could be a cup of tea, it could be lighting a candle, it could be a hot bath, it could be having a chat with a friend. Because what we tend to do sometimes is we tend to knock out all our self-care routine when we're feeling a bit low. So what's important to kind of have our go-to list, and we think, right, okay, what am I going to do today? How am I going to make myself feel better for the next 15 minutes? If the whole hour or the day seems so daunting for us, then start with 15-minute slots. So self-care could be, like I say, sort of concentrating on our senses, concentrating on our smell, on our sights, on our hearing. And there's lots of ways of looking at different things with self-care. But also looking at our physical self as well, and what we're doing to ourselves, and how we're nurturing ourselves and loving ourselves, it could even be a face mask or a hand massage, or buying a new hand cream or something like that. Don't know if that explains it okay.
Yeah, and what I'm also thinking is sometimes it doesn't have to cost anything, even if, like you said, part of your senses is just, if you just be in the moment, and just maybe when somebody has cut some grass, you can smell the grass, and that could even be, which you go towards your self-care maybe. Or if I have a clip here where if you maybe just go outside, step outside maybe for say about a minute or two. Just give yourself that moment of maybe just go lie down or sit somewhere and watch the clouds, and that could be soothing.
Definitely, and I think it's about sort of you know, being mindful and being in the present moment. And there's always different things in a different way we can look at things. And I think sometimes what we tend to do is kind of like I say, we focus on our negative thoughts, or we focus on the bad things. And I think it's about sort of self-care is everything. It's about looking physically at our fitness. It's looking at our habits, our sleep habits. You know, it could be intellectual self-care, where we start reading something or start learning about something. And again, it could be on YouTube, it could be free. There's lots of courses available that kind of can feed our soul in an intellectual way. It could be social, in terms of stimulating ourselves on a social basis. And a lot of it, I understand with COVID, there's been a lot of lockdown with it. But I think, you know, having a conversation with a good friend and both of you sitting down with a cup of tea or a nice herbal drink, you know, and the kind of smelling the smells of the herbs and actually talking about it with your friend, that could be quite stimulating. Spiritual self-care, in terms of your belief systems and the values that we put on things. Again, start to research the values and what we're all about as human beings. And then emotional self-care, in terms of processing our feelings. It could be journaling, it could be writing a letter of forgiveness perhaps, or writing down how we're feeling. And sometimes it's even just about acknowledging those feelings. You know, maybe in the morning when we wake up, we sort of, you know, every day we write down if we're feeling happy or sad, or even just a smiley face next to our day. And that sometimes is just enough for us to acknowledge where we are, and then we can make steps to change that as well and move forward from that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's about being honest with yourself as well, about finding, maybe just sitting with your feelings. And it might be uncomfortable, but maybe that would be the starting point of discovering yourself and what's happening to yourself, and asking the questions, why am I feeling this? What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it in my body? And that is part of reflecting and growing as well at the same time.
Definitely, definitely. I think feelings, writing down feelings plays a massive role in self-awareness. And it is uncomfortable to start to be very self-aware. Is difficult. And I think when you played that clouds, it's sort of, sometimes it's about slowing the mind down and thinking, okay, I feel this way, I feel a bit sad. I'm just going to sit with this a minute. I'm going to look at something that's quite calming, quite soothing, and hopefully that feeling will just get easier to feel and to manage. And that's a great first step in terms of where to start with self-care. And then from there you can start to add in things to our day and so forth.
Yeah, so would you say it's about because we are all different and we all have different needs, and it's really about finding out what works for you, really?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the first, what I say to my clients sometimes, if you get a bit of paper and you write me, or draw you in the middle of that bit of paper, and then do all the things that make you happy and all the things that bother you, just like do a spider diagram. And what you'll tend to find is you could have, you know, it might be emotions that are coming out more. It might be things that you like that are coming out more. It might be thoughts that are sort of repetitive thoughts that are coming out more, that you think, actually, you know, I didn't notice that about me before. And then what you can do is start to draw in the dots. And even if you just colour things a different colour, you'll start to kind of build a bigger picture of where you are. And then you could start to build another picture of what you can do to change those thought patterns. But I think initially, yeah, just start small. Don't think of it as a huge task. You know, people sort of advise to sort of say, right, self-care, and they commit to these. I'm going to do 3 walks a day, and I'm going to eat well, I'm going to do all this. And I think sometimes it's about just taking it slow a little bit, and just making sure that you know, that you do little steps, rather than big big steps and big goals and that sort of thing, and concentrate on the here and now and how we feel actually right now. I think that's quite important.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for the knowledge that you're sharing with us. It's,
Thank you very much.
okay, bye.
Thanks, bye.